Cottonmouth Media.
Yeah, and I kind of look at like growing sort of like sports. Like, you know, you and I play baseball or whatever. Like, we're bros, right? Like, you play baseball, I play baseball. Like, that's how it's like growers, right?
Right, absolutely. You can talk shop together.
Yeah, you talk shop together.
The Bongcast.
Yeah. Baby, girl, you're so damn fine, though. Wanna know if I can hit it from behind, though. I'm tipping on you like some fine wine, though. When it's over,
Yo, cannabis lovers, welcome to the Bongcast, a podcast about people in cannabis. My name is Matt Meredith, and I am your host, your guide, whatever you want me to be, really. In this latest episode, I had the opportunity to sit down with Kevin Kraft of Honor Cannabis in Denver, Colorado. Honor Cannabis is a company that specializes in manufacturing grow bags for craft home cannabis growers. I really enjoyed getting to know Kevin. He was really an awesome dude, super down to earth, awesome, proud father, very nice gentleman. We talk about Kevin's entrepreneurial journey that started at just the age of 15, owning a skate shop that eventually transformed into his current career today in the cannabis industry. We talk about Kevin's deep passion for serving the cannabis home growing community, talk about some of the nuances of the home growing community, as well as getting to know Kevin overall as a person. And without any further ado, please welcome Kevin Kraft on the Bongcast.
Right on. So, you're Kevin Kraft.
Yeah.
You're in the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
You have this company, Honor the Plant.
Yeah.
Just give me a little background on what you're doing currently in the industry.
Well, you're here in the shop in Denver, so we're sewing grow bags. This company is about 2 years old. I started work on it about 4 years ago, and it was that classic, you know, the wife came down and said, you got to do this someday. Right. And it just stemmed from me being, you know, I love products, and I just got frustrated with the home grow because most of the products in this industry were designed for sort of the bigger guys.
Mm-hmm.
And
more commercialized.
Yeah, and so I just started tinkering and DIYing and just like, you know, how a lot of people I think start companies just got frustrated with the bags was the thing that kind of frustrated me the most initially, and so that was just a passion of mine to make really good grow bags.
Yeah. And so typically, like if you were not to have your grow bags, what would people be growing? Like just in regular plastic pots or?
Yeah, it's a weed, it's a plant. People grow it in buckets in Walmart bags. Our bag is just designed to sort of give it the best environment. I'm really passionate about the roots and making sure that they're air pruned and stuff like that. So I tell people all the time, like if they can't afford my bags, you know, there are cheaper options out there. It's like anything, but I'm trying to provide that craft grower, someone like me who's just passionate, who spends sometimes hours every night with our plants.
Right.
Just sort of the best bag that they can for the money. Mm-hmm. And I'm also passionate about the material I use, just making sure that it's a safe material, because a lot of people are spending a lot of time with their soils, living soil, organic soils.
You want it to be safe for the consumer.
Yeah, I don't want it to be leaching into their soil and stuff like that. So I take I'm just real passionate about making sure it's for my community.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really affordable. I mean, how does like the price of your bag, which I saw online, they're like about $15, right?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah,
like the mid-sized bag. Mm-hmm. How does that compare to like what they would buy at Walmart or something?
So when we first launched almost 2 years ago, we probably were viewed as like, wait, what the hell? Like, why would I spend $16 on a bag, you know?
Right.
And I think now people are realizing that the quality's there. And so you can go, quite honestly, you could buy a grow bag for $1. Whether it will rip or whether it'll work well or not, who knows? But yeah, you could buy a grow bag for $1.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, there's a lot of things I really haven't shared yet with there's a lot more thought even to the material. I mean, I know every one of my fabrics, how much airflow gets through it. And so, you know, Do
you test the fabrics?
Oh, yeah. Everything's tested. I mean, I've been working on products for 2 years that aren't out yet because I wanted at least 4 to 5 grows doing it. So I'm always testing the products. For
right,
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would be like your answer to a skeptic that's like, why would I spend $16 on a grow bag when I can go to Walmart and buy it for $1?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question.
Not to say that you would need to convince them.
Yeah.
Because if they're not already interested in a higher quality thing, then maybe that's not your customer type. But I guess if someone was still interested, like what would be the answer?
Well, I think it's also, my bags are designed to literally be made grow after grow. I've got bags that I invented with a very similar material that's not even as good as what we're using now, that have been sitting on my porch for 4 years, and just in the weather, in the snow. And so,
They're durable.
yeah, like even just from we use eco-friendly practices here, but I hope that people are using these bags in 10 years.
Right.
So
How long does like the $1 bag from Walmart last?
I mean, when I do testing on those bags, if you pull hard, you can rip them.
Yeah.
So they're really meant for one grow. And that was one of my passions with this new line I put out, the core line. Our last bag was called an X2. And that was the last version. It was a 2-layer version, and it works really well. But this new version, I've eliminated that second layer, which was a felt layer. And so it's just going to allow that bag to last longer and be even easier to clean. So my bags now are, grow, dump out, or recycle soil and reuse. Or for guys who a lot of guys now like to keep soils grow after grow in like a living soil environment. Right. I hope that in 10 years, my bag still looks great and still performing for them.
Right. And I feel like it's kind of a branding
thing
for sure.
too,
right? Like it makes your grow look prettier.
Well, there's no question, like style and looks is important to me. Like
right.
First and foremost, it's got to work. It's got to grow because I'm
right.
the grower and I want to grow great
function is huge
for myself.
I always say function over fashion.
Yeah, but then it's going to look good.
yeah. If you can still get fashion on top of the function, then why not?
See, and this is what people don't realize. This is why I got passionate about this business, because at first I was like, grow bag company, like, no, I don't want to just make grow bags. Is, again, people that don't grow don't understand how much time we spend. Even like small guys like me that are growing maybe 6 plants, 12 plants, whatever maybe you're growing in your small space. We're in there every day, every night, spending hours picking them up, trimming our plants. Like we're looking at them. And that was one of my things years ago, in addition to the performance, was I was just like, this looks like crap. This looks bad. Like my plants look great and everything else looks terrible. So there's definitely a combination for me of function and looks.
Right.
But again, the function is the first and foremost.
If you're seeing that stuff every day, right, it can affect your mood, right?
Yeah.
If it looks ugly, then maybe it kind of even subconsciously pisses you off when you see it, but maybe you see a pretty pink bag underneath your cannabis plant, and you're just like, colors are huge, right?
Yeah.
Like McDonald's, right? They're red and yellows, so that makes you hungry.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, with branding, I think there's a lot of intention behind the colors that they use to try to get you to feel or think a certain way. But so I think, the bag's the same way, right? Just pump your mood because you got bright colors, just makes it pop. So probably makes your day a little bit better just seeing the colorful bags versus, like,
for sure,
some boring gray stuff or something.
Absolutely.
So kind of transport me back. I know you've had many careers.
Mm-hmm.
And you first started a company when you were 15 years old.
Correct.
Transport me back to when you decided, I'm going to start a skate shop and a business when I'm 15. Like, what was that like?
Well, I grew up in a very conservative town, and I was definitely the misfit mentality.
And that was where?
That was in northern Utah.
Okay.
I'm from Colorado and grew up in northern Utah. And long story short, I won a young entrepreneur contest that someone entered me into, and
did you have to do a pitch for that?
I did, and it was the full song and dance. It was like the Governor Cup thing, and I think I won. I can't remember, but I think it was $5,000.
That's big.
It was a lot,
especially when you're 15.
Yeah, and I literally asked my dad if he'd rent a space for me on Main Street, and I started selling punk rock music, doing the local punk rock shows, and started making skateboards.
That's awesome.
So, and it became one of the bigger shops in the town.
How long did you do that for?
5 years.
Nice. So that was through like a huge transition period in your life too, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, this business reminds me of that so much.
Yeah.
Like just grassroots, like it was just passion. Like
right.
It was an interesting time in skateboarding and punk rock too, because like we were the rebels, right? Like right. I remember opening that shop and there was like 3 skateboarders in my town, and people were like, "What are you doing? You're crazy," right? Like, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's just like I need to do this. Like,
Right.
you know, like anyway, so.
Your gut can tell you more than you realize, you know?
Yeah.
If it feels right, it is right.
So.
That's cool. So you grew up on punk rock?
Oh yeah, I was in a punk rock band, and
What'd you play?
the drums.
Nice.
Because I'm not that good. My tension is not where it would need to be for something like guitar.
Uh-huh.
So I was more athletic. So I was like, let's just do, at the
hit
time
stuff.
it was like Offspring and Blink-182. I was like, let's just do fast double beat. And I'm the guy back there just going,
Yeah. You're leading the charge.
just yeah. So I wouldn't even consider myself a drummer. I could just play really fast punk rock.
You're a percussionist.
Yes. But we timed it right. We were terrible, and we'd go to like the neighboring little towns and have like 400 people show up to our shows. It was hilarious.
Right.
These days we'd show up and people would boo us off the stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But when you're 15 too, there's the nostalgia,
Well,
right?
punk rock was it wasn't the same. It was still underground, and you know, yeah. So, and I threw all the shows in town. So for me, I mean, back then it was like, I did Offspring, and we only had 29 people show up, and I was feeding Jimmy Eat World spaghetti in my, you know, little, anyway, so that was my life, was punk rock music, skateboards, and the truth was, a lot of it centered around cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
I was just going to ask, did that start to filter into the cannabis community?
Like, I mean, my shop and my little world, it was sort of like the world of the misfits, we called it, and that was where, like, it was all this is where people came to, you know, talk about cannabis or whatever they were doing that wasn't accepted in our town.
Right.
We were the guys with tattoos, and, you know. And my thing, and it's sort of like what I'm doing with Honor, too, is like, even though, like, I'm a punk rocker, even though I'm a misfit, all that, like, I sort of carry this almost kind of, like, not clean image, but, like, with Honor, like, I love, cannabis is so important to me and so many people I care about, that I'm trying to, like, have a good image, but, like, at the same time, I'm a grower, right? Like, this is me. So I'm trying to balance that, like, we're growers, but, like, really trying to have that, you know, just like a positive spin.
Right.
Because there's just anytime you're in a new industry, it was like in skateboarding and snowboarding 20-something years ago when I was in it. Fighting and all these people claiming territories and all this, and, like, you know, that's just not for me.
Right. There's too much confrontation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you did a lot of other ventures or worked with other businesses before you started Honor the Plant. Kind of just like skim your resume, I guess, for me of like your business experience.
My business experience is similar. It's very ADD.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of stuff. So for me, it was, I mean, I do enjoy business, but I like to create. So whether it was creating skateboards or for a short period of time doing real estate, I like to create communities.
Yeah.
Or my last venture was I created an organic breakfast smoothie, basically. But my passion was getting the nutrients from farms that had, you know, good soils, were actually living soils.
Right.
And so it's sort of it went from like misfit skateboarding to, hey, I'll dabble in the corporate world, to
Right.
about 10 years ago.
I saw
was
you were
like,
first of sales somewhere, right?
Yeah,
You
I
were
did.
the VP of sales.
Yeah, I had one real job, and I did well, but like again, it's just like I'm always sort of drawn to more creative stuff.
Right. So that one was short lived.
Yeah.
Now it's in San Francisco, right?
Yeah. I spent 8 years in San Francisco,
Nice.
which is like second home to me.
Right. I was gonna say you off camera you were talking about how much you love San Francisco.
I love San Francisco. I do.
Is that where you started to grow, or did that come later on?
No, the growing's interesting because I think we talked about it off camera too, is I traveled until about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I was involved with grows that weren't like officially my grows. So like as a home grower, like, you know, that's when I really sort of took growing for myself to a new level. And that's when I got really passionate about, is when the lights were in my place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what, 2014 you started?
Yeah. what is this, 2019? Yeah, about 5 years ago.
That's funny. I was just entering my freshman year of college.
Yeah, see, I'm much older than you, but it's sort of not fair because like I've been playing with soil and doing living soil and stuff like that for over 20 years. And like, so for me, like, because I've been around cannabis so much, and like even before I started growing myself, like I was part of this grow, and I've always had such an interest in cannabis that like I sort of had an unfair start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're passionate about it, it's all fair, right?
Yeah. So.
But so what was like your first experience like with growing cannabis?
For me, it was pretty straightforward again because I'd been around it so much.
Yeah.
So like, I wasn't your typical like, getting started. Cannabis is like cannabis is my passion, but like I like growing other stuff too. I mean, I like growing other herbs. I like growing other food.
Yeah.
I like to figure out the differences in how I grow, one plant versus the other.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's something that's I've really been looking at the last few years with cannabis is how that differs and how I grow it different than say a tomato or a Tulsi plant. And so anyway, I don't have the answers for that though, by the way.
So you don't know when you like first dabbled with growing, like even working on someone else's grow or being involved with it?
Well, I mean, God, we were growing in my house 25 years ago. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
I was like the real estate guy.
Right. So it was always under wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, growing up in a conservative town, there weren't that many people who were, we always called them misfits. We were all misfits. And
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, I've been involved with growing for a long time and been around cannabis for a long time, but I didn't actually start doing it myself until I stopped traveling. And that's the thing. I was just talking to someone yesterday in the industry, and she was saying the same thing. She's like, I really want to grow, but I'm traveling. And I was like, it's really hard to have a good grow when you travel. It really is.
Yeah.
And like now, like I try to avoid traveling like anything because I want to be around my plants.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, I mean they're gonna get a more care, right? If you're around.
Yeah.
It's
for
just
sure.
it's like a child, right? Like they're gonna, when dad's around, they're gonna enjoy it a little bit more, right?
And for me, and that's the thing for being a small grower, there's always something that happens. Like whether it's self-inflicted, the other night I was like, I thought to myself, I was like, did I forget to turn my lights back on? And like 1 a.m. or whatever, and I hurry and go, and I'm like, I forgot. And it was just like, I avoided probably a mess.
Right.
But had I not been home, now obviously I got friends who have full cameras and you can run everything from controllers and all that. But
Right. I've seen like Leaf Pod, I think.
There's some
a
cool
few-
stuff out there.
A few
Yeah.
companies that you can just literally buy this pod. My friends have it. That high couple I was telling you about. In their home, they just have like this 3-foot tall pod, and they can fit like 3 plants in there, and they can grow, a few ounces and dabble, but it's all controlled from the app. You can control the light. It's automatic.
Yeah, the technology.
You have to water
is
it
amazing.
yourself, but other than that, I'm sure there's another design that waters it for you even.
Oh, there are people that definitely have it automated.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm always, with this business though, I'm always testing stuff, and I've always got something going home with me or going to a grow. I mean, sometimes I'll have to like get a grow over here, and because my personal grow can't handle all the testing we do.
Right. And so you clearly have a huge passion for home growing.
Yes.
And I think that's really important, obviously, in the current state of cannabis. There's a lot, especially in California. I mean, the industry favors people with capital. And I'm sure it does in Colorado, and I'm sure, I know it does in Massachusetts. Like, it's tough for the small guy to, if they're a craft grower, to be able to afford to compliantly get their product out there.
Yeah.
So for you, I know off camera we were kind of talking about you even had some really large orders, thousands of bags potentially, which is great business for you, but you turned them down. Tell me a little bit about like the passion for your business and supporting the home grow community.
Man, we're like, I say we, like my wife and I, we're like the crazy people who put it all in for this business, and like we're going broke for it. I mean, that's the thing that people don't realize is how hard and how expensive it is to start a small business. we're almost 2 years old of officially launching, and much, years before that of developing and all that.
Right.
And it just feels like I just started yesterday, because it's still in that mode of
You're
just
hungry.
like, well, it's just, it's hard, quite honestly, it's hard to make money as a small business in the United States right now.
Mm-hmm. I can relate to that a little bit.
I mean, when, people ask me why, when we first started, I sewed our bags in China. And the honest truth is because no one locally would sew for me because I didn't have enough capital.
Right.
I'd go in and be like, hey, here's my design. I need someone to help me, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be great sewers, and they'd look at me and be like, you can't do 10,000? I'd be like, no, I can't do 10,000. Plus, I don't want to do 10,000 because I want to change them and all this. So
Right.
we couldn't get anyone local to sew our bags initially. And until we got to a certain point, it didn't make sense to bring it in-house. But
Right.
yeah, this business has been just one of those things where we've had to fund it ourselves, and we've just been able to, we've kind of cashed in the retirements and done everything we can to make it successful. And also by doing it ourselves, because we've had plenty of opportunities for investors. And, a year ago we had investor groups wanting to put money in, and I'm so passionate about not just what we're doing and the brand, but where it's going, that I knew that if I had investors, and I knew that if I went that route, that I wouldn't be able to do it the right way.
Right.
And that's the thing, is so many of these customers are my friends. This isn't just, these are people I've known for years, and some of these people have been using my bags even before we started for 2 and 3 years.
Right.
And
Just because you had an idea and you wanted people to try it. And
yeah, and and I kind of look at growing sort of like sports. You and I play baseball or whatever. We're bros, right?
Right,
You play
right.
baseball, I play baseball. That's how it's like growers, right?
Right. Absolutely. You can talk shop together.
Yeah, you talk shop together. I mean, I talk shop on DM to people all the time. We're just talking shop like we would, talking about our grows and this and that. But so the bags is sort of where I started, but I've invented a lot of products, so there's a lot more to come for Honor.
When do you foresee kind of that next step and maybe releasing another product or two?
The funny thing is, this isn't a bad thing, because I don't want this to sound like it's bad, but I've been stuck selling bags.
Yeah.
I might even said this to you guys, but I've told people, if we would have failed as a business in our first year, it would have been actually from success. Not oh my God, we're selling so much, I'm buying cars and all that. We just, when you're one, or, it was me sometimes, and then a couple people helping me, you start getting these orders, and you start trying, it becomes pretty intense, right?
Right.
As a small business.
You were saying you won't even post on your Instagram
until
you get the new inventory.
Yeah, don't tell my secrets away. But there's been, it's been hard. I mean, we've had stuff happen, bags get stuck in, Long Beach and customs, and we've gotten shut down so many times being a cannabis company. I mean, people don't realize how hard it's been, because I've been bold about being a cannabis company. Everyone from day one has been be a gardening company, be like everybody else, don't talk about cannabis. And I'm just no, it's
that's your passion.
That's my passion. No, that's...
Has it gotten in the way of your business at all?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Does it hurt you on the back end of the business, when you're filing your taxes for the year and stuff?
Well, that's interesting. It'd be nice if they decided they wouldn't take taxes, right? No, it's been more of a challenge, because honestly, I've had suppliers say, no, we're not selling to you.
Right.
I've had, bank after bank shut us down, even though we
technically don't.
We
touch
just
the
sell,
plant.
we sell a bag, we sell
Right.
a textile. You could take this into, we could just call it a shopping bag if you want.
Right, yeah, you take it to the grocery store
Yeah,
and
go shop
put a
with
few
it.
veggies in there.
Yeah.
They're super heavy duty though.
Yeah, this
They
new
feel
material is amazing, and
Nice. Where do you get your logos?
you mean
Or the actual patch?
we get most of the accessory stuff actually out of San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the material comes from the East Coast.
Cool.
So almost everything we're getting now,
This is cool. I want something like this for Cottonmouth Media, because I'm starting to sponsor my buddy in his jiu-jitsu fights.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, have you heard of High Rollers Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Is that the...
It's the cannabis friendly
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu
yeah,
tournament.
you told me a little
Yeah,
bit
we were
about
talking about
it.
it off camera yesterday, but they've been touring all around the States now. They did one in Denver, they did one in Los Angeles, they did one in San Francisco, which is where I filmed it at. They're doing one in New York really soon. They have, I think they just did one in Seattle, or maybe they had to cancel that one, but they did one in Vegas. They're doing another one in San Diego, which I'm actually going to go to again.
Wait, so did they smoke at the event or before?
So the first one they ever did, they smoked on the mats, and like they were allowed to smoke at the venue. I think they had a good relationship with the venue, and
cool.
so there's actually a Vice documentary on it, and you can check it out. But
Nice.
it's like a 10-minute story on like Matt, the owner, one of the co-founders, and then Big Lon, also one of the other co-founders.
That's cool.
And
I'll check it out. For
to
sure.
my knowledge, Big Lon is business partners with Wiz Khalifa.
Oh wow.
And I think Wiz Khalifa was at the Vegas show. And then Matt Stout, the other co-founder, he has a relationship with the Diaz brothers.
Oh, okay.
And so he's like, Nate Diaz has been a big supporter of it because he has been affected by being really open about his cannabis use, and so he's lost out on a lot of sponsorship opportunities, gotten kicked out of UFC.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and then Nate Diaz is like, now he's a big star because he's openly smoking weed on camera in his interviews and stuff, but it's like CBD flower. So he has a company that he's a co-founder in, Game Up Nutrition. So him and Matt, I think, are business partners in that venture. So he's he's doing a good job, I think, of pushing cannabis out there. But I love their events. Like
That's awesome.
Like Matt, the way he put it in the interview I had with him was like, High Times is great, but at the end of the day, it's like a concert in the hot sun, and is it really like consumer focused of a great customer experience?
Yeah.
Like what are you really learning as an attendee, versus like at his events, like I felt like it was just like great vibes, and like all these people are like fighting, but like they're smoking weed together and they're bonding.
Right.
It's like it creates this different dynamic of a.
It's better for the concussions too, right?
Right. Yeah. Thankfully, they don't hit each other, right? Because it's grappling. But,
that's true.
We kind of talked about, but like, what were your parents like? How do they feel about what you're doing now?
So that's interesting. So my mom passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease around 19.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's been a long time. She was awesome. They were very conservative parents. My dad obviously supported me in the skateboard shop.
Mm-hmm.
He supported the misfit business back in the day. So he's sort of known kind of who I am. And
Right. So your dad knew that you consumed cannabis, or that you were into cannabis?
No, cannabis was incredibly private when I grew up. That's the thing about, and that's why, like, I grew up in a super conservative town, so my store was sort of the safe place almost. It was almost like a safe house,
Right.
for people to come and talk about stuff like that. It wasn't like you came to my shop and we were selling under the counter, stuff like that, but back in our snowboard repair shop, that's where most of the stuff was talked about.
Right.
So definitely didn't know about it.
Yeah.
No one did. We had to be so careful. I mean,
Right.
growing up in Utah, you get caught with this much and they throw you in prison. And anyway, so we had to be really careful.
Yeah.
What's interesting, I think it's like anybody, when I started this business, I was nervous like I was a little kid to tell him, like, not only like I'm going all in, because I had this huge life event too about 4 years ago. I'm a big Broncos fan, and so that was my when the Broncos won the Super Bowl almost 4 years ago was the last time I drank.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a big drinker before that.
Yeah.
And so there's from quitting drinking to starting Honor, this is all sort of part of a journey for me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad's like 18 years sober, so
Oh, cool.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
And for me, the coolest part was I sort of knew this was coming, and that was the reason why I sort of got everything in line to be able to start growing. Because I knew that if I was going to take this journey and stop drinking, that I was going to have to be growing my own. Mm-hmm. So even before I started growing, I started really looking into like terpenes and terpene profiles and really trying to understand how, if I'm going to pull this off, meaning stop the drinking and go all in on cannabis or plant medicine, I just had to know a lot more.
Yeah.
Because when I drank a lot, it was more about being stoned.
Right. Right, it's just the effect.
Yeah, for sure.
It. And it wasn't necessarily like it
was just
like you needed it necessarily. It was just like you liked the feeling of having a few drinks.
Oh yeah, or more than a few.
I'm
the guy. I mean, look,
I drank a lot in college.
I'm the guy I can talk about because the first time I ever drank, I was the guy who could drink a fifth of Jack Daniels. I don't know why, I just had a high tolerance. So unfortunately for me, you know, I was the guy who always did drink more than a couple. Right. Because a couple was sort of like,
yeah, you had too powerful of a liver for that.
You know, like, I don't know, it didn't do much to me, but anyway, it's been great. So
yeah, that's cool. So your dad's really supportive of it
now? Oh yeah. I mean, I think these days it's just, you know, some people don't like it. Some people who've been, you know, involved in cannabis for a long time don't like how more mainstream it's becoming. And then for some people, you know, especially with families that maybe didn't accept you or recognize you before, it's actually really cool. So, you know, it's sort of, for me, I've always sort of been like, again, I call it the misfit. I've always been sort of the misfit from starting the skateboard shop to like now it's sort of like, I guess I am still a misfit in cannabis, but it doesn't feel quite as crazy.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, like all I've known is obviously as long as I've been alive, witnessing what's been happening with cannabis.
Yeah.
So I mean, like for me, I like that it's becoming more of a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Whether or not the states are legalizing it in the correct fashions and letting everyone have a fair, you know, slice of the cake, if you will. Maybe that's not happening, which is unfortunate, but time is the only thing that we can...
I'm one of those few business owners in this space that doesn't even, like, I don't even know what's going on in space. Like, I shouldn't say this because people are going to be like, you're a business owner? I don't really care. I'm literally so focused on my community and the bags, I'm like almost not worried about that piece. And I think that's helped a lot.
I was going to say, that's why you'll be successful. Putting your head down and going. I was just thinking about this the other day. I have a really vivid memory when I was playing baseball growing up. I quit when I was in like 7th grade. And I had a moment where I was turning third and I was in a slight pickle right between third and home.
Yeah.
And then the ball went back to third and I just put my head down, I sprinted and I slid into home and I was safe. I remember my coach coming up to me afterwards and being like, you know what the best part you did there was? I was like, what? He's like, you put your head down and you just went.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really have thought about that like within the last week. And that's what you're doing. You know, that's what you have to do.
It's crazy though to do it
because you have to just especially a small business, you got to put more hours in than you're comfortable with, right? Like the Grant Cardone mentality, right? Like 10 times, right? It's 10 times the amount of time, 10 times the amount of money, 10 times the amount of effort that you thought you would have to put into it.
I'm delivering my twin boys 1.5 years ago, and I got some famous grower posted, and we got all these sales, and it's 3 a.m, and I'm in Maui, and I'm hurrying and driving home to ship orders out while my kids are like, I mean, it's been crazy. I haven't taken a day off in 2 years. Like it is crazy.
Yeah. How's that been being a new dad?
You know, I don't talk about it a lot, but for almost a year I didn't sleep, honestly, because I'm such a passionate dad.
Right.
The two things, I mean, I love my wife and my kids and my plants and this business. Like that's like me. That's been me for just 2 years, right? And so there's like from 4 to 7 I'm with my kids and like I want to be a super dad.
Right.
So I wake up with my kids in the morning at 6, but then like I work. So there's been tons and tons of nights when even my wife's helped me and I'll look over at her, it's 3:30 in the morning and we're working, you know, just to pull it off so we can be good parents and this business.
Does she help you a lot with this business?
Oh, everything she does, whether it's work or everything we've done for over 2 years has been for this business. Whether she quit her job that was with the business or whether she's working that, you know what I mean? So she's the biggest supporter of this. I wouldn't have done this. I honestly didn't want to do this because I love cannabis so much and I love growing so much. I didn't want any opportunity to screw that up.
Yeah.
But I just I'm so driven by, you know, what's next and helping people. Even just helping people with just better equipment and stuff. I'm really passionate about it.
You feel like you're making an impact with the people that are using your products and that you're touching on?
I do, and the cool part is sometimes I'm a little comfortable with this, but I know I am because I get the feedback. I mean, the feedback we're getting about our products is what has kept me going, because it certainly hasn't been about, hey babe, I got to put more money in the company that we don't have.
Yeah.
You know, those are the days when you're just like, holy crap, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then, you know, anyway, so.
That's cool. Do you feel like it'll get to the point where you will be able to take in thousands of bag orders at one time, or do you always want to keep it like a small craft grower business?
My focus is on the craft grower for sure, and like when I design these bags, like everything I look at here when I'm designing them, there's a bag that is being sewed, but is thinking about the indoor grow and the grow. Now, what we've sort of made a transition, or I've sort of made a transition to mentally, into sort of getting more into the outdoor grow and some of the bigger stuff. So it's something that's coming. But my sort of where I lead from is from that indoor grower for sure.
Yeah. So what would be like the maximum order that you would take from someone right now?
Right now, honestly, I'd probably turn down most large orders. And that's because...
What quantifies as a large order?
I mean,
Like
50,
100?
even 50 or
Yeah.
more. And I've been doing it because, again, I want to make sure that the community, the guy who wants 2 bags, can get one.
Right.
And I want to make sure that, and so anyway, so yes, I would probably still turn down most orders. But we're getting closer. Like, for me, when I come into the shop and I have a minute and I look up and I'm like, what should I do? Then I'll probably go, all right, let's start making 1,000 bags at a time now.
Yeah.
So it just hasn't been my focus. And a lot of, that's more of a B2B business to business.
Right.
And there's actually a lot of bag companies who do that, who go after the big, corporations and the dispensaries and all that.
That's where the money's at right now.
Sure,
Right?
absolutely. And again, I just went after my passion, which is all my buddies who grow.
Yeah, no, and I think that wins out in the long run versus sure, there's tons of money to be made right now in the industry, but it's also, you need the money to get the money. So it's like, if, you got to stick to your guns and stay in your lane, right? Know what you know, and you know what you don't know, right? And the commercial
for sure.
You were saying there's a huge commercial facility in Denver, right? That's growing 1,000 plants at one time.
And there's so many big ones, and like out towards the airport and stuff. It's a whole different world that I almost don't know about.
Yeah. Last 6 months, I've been pretty adamant. I've been bad the last few months because my girlfriend and I have been on this huge road trip. Today's literally day 86 of our road trip, so it's 86 days in a row of
so
just
cool.
going.
But awesome.
But I've been really into understanding more of the global market and understanding the Canadian market and what are those companies that have public, have IPOs. What are they doing and why is it maybe preferable to be, investing into this one on the stock market versus this one.
Oh, interesting.
So I've been trying to really stay updated on that and understand it. But I think the largest Canadian company. So you have Canopy and Aurora, and those two are putting out. I think Aurora supposedly is putting out 600,000 kilos of cannabis a year.
Oh wow!
How the hell are you doing? You're not doing that with precision quality, And so there's definitely other craft growers. Even that, I think there's a craft growing company that has an IPO, but they're focusing on the craft grow. They're only going to do 60,000.
Up in Canada.
I think they're in Canada. Yeah, they're. It's interesting. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's definitely a finite amount of companies that are on the New York Stock Exchange that are just growing cannabis.
Oh, interesting.
I don't really understand how that's a thing because it's still a Schedule 1. And so I thought that was the reason why you couldn't get an IPO in the United States, and that's obviously, I think, a huge reason why a lot of companies don't have an IPO.
Yeah.
I don't really understand how they have one, though, in the New York Stock Exchange. Canopy is.
I don't know.
They're on the New York Stock Exchange, but how? I don't really get it. But
I don't know.
It's a fascinating world to follow because I think it directly impacts the smaller home growers. All of us that are in the industry, even the ancillary services like you.
Well, it's crazy too because it affects everybody. Just up the street here in Denver, I think I mentioned to you, there's dispensaries you can buy ounces for under $100.
Yeah, the one I went to, they were advertising that.
So I mean, we don't even need to talk about the quality of that.
Right.
But the guy who doesn't maybe understand health and nutrition and stuff might just go, why would I grow myself when I can go buy a $99 ounce?
Right.
And that's a whole nother topic, but that's where my passion too comes in, is growing for needs and everything from the, it doesn't matter, but yeah.
I think even if you're an ancillary service, you gotta grow. I mean, I was interviewing this woman.
What do you mean by that?
So even ancillary services, I do video, right?
Yeah.
You make the grow bags. anyone that's touching the industry in any capacity that's involved with cannabis. I got this from Ophelia Chong, who I interviewed on my last episode of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about that if you're in the industry, you've got to understand how to grow the plant.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't understand if you've never tried to grow a cannabis plant, then, and I've never even done it yet, so I'm a hypocrite, but like when we go back, that's definitely something that I want to be doing. I've been observing my friends grow now for 3, 4, 5 months, and so it's been really cool to understand the process more.
Yeah.
But if you understand how to grow it and you understand the product, like how it gets from being a seed to like being smoked, like it's a huge process that it's tough to empathize with the industry if you've never done that. I think I'm an empathetic person. I've heard a lot from other people about it, so it's been educational in that way, and so I think I have that respect for it. But yeah, I think like you gotta grow.
Yeah, and some people like it and some people don't. I say this all the time. I have to grow because of the amount of meds I use, but I'm fortunate that I love it.
Right.
And luckily I've loved gardening my whole life, so you know it's one of those things for me that was just a natural.
What's been the biggest hurdle so far that you've had to overcome doing Honor the Plant?
You mean like one instance or like just in general?
I guess if there's one instance that was particularly tough, or if there's something that consistently is a roadblock.
The capital, honestly. I think anyone who's starting a company and not taking on investors at this stage it's intense. It really is.
Is it competitive even in what you're doing?
What do you mean by that?
Do you have a lot of people that are trying to compete with you making like craft bags?
No. I'm just saying, when you ask me what's sort of been the hardest thing, is it's just running a business day to day when you're trying to pull it off and trying to be a small business. I mean, that's what I sort of say now. It's like, it's almost hard to be a small business these days. It's like, I almost feel forced to keep growing and get big, and like, we've looked at all these where we're like, we just want to make grow bags, we just want to make grow products, and these days you kind of have to get big to survive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's harder to be a small business these days, I think.
Maybe in the cannabis space, yeah. I think
in the producing a product.
Right. Because it's expensive to get the high quality.
Yeah, and then people just come in and get capital and then just go do it bigger, faster.
Undercut you.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
would you want to be a conglomerate-sized company ever?
So I'm going to have to make decisions very soon on how to continue to grow this company. And I know, so for me, it's just going to be, I want to get Honor and Coda, that's what we call our mascot, our logo, Coda. I want to get more of our products into people's hands because I truly believe it gives them a good experience.
Yeah.
And so, whatever next step we take, whether that's tomorrow or in 2 years, meaning whether I add people on or sort of take the next step in business, for me, it's just all got to go along with this vision I have of being part of the community and developing products for the community. And I'm super passionate about when I put a product out, it being really good.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do a quick rapid fire here.
Okay, sounds good.
So you can do like quick answers. So how old were you when you first smoked weed?
I was 15, I think.
Okay, I was 16.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What's your favorite strain?
God,
I guess it's hard. Not maybe to smoke is probably different than to grow, right?
Let me pick one just cause. Probably Rolex OG Kush.
Why?
I need stuff that relaxes me, and anything that relaxes me, it makes me creative. It sounds like it's a hard combo without getting anxious.
Right.
It was just a good strain for me.
So is it a hybrid?
It is, and to be honest with you, I rarely look at that like sativa. Anyway, it's from a breeder, I think in Amsterdam, Devil's Harvest Seeds, and it just was something I love to smoke.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites is a newer one in my arsenal, Salmon River OG.
Okay.
I did a tester of that one about 2 months ago, and it's pretty phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, I think you're honestly right to like ignore sativa indica hybrid at this point, because they all look like, maybe it look like a sativa, but it actually acts like an indica, or vice versa, or you don't know until you test it. And everyone reacts differently too to different strains.
Well, yeah, and this is rapid fire, but when you're growing too, a lot of times you'll pop 10 of one strain and you'll get more leaning sativa, more leaning indica. So I might grow this one that leans more, but it's, you know what I mean? So it's,
Right.
it's a weird, like, for me, like, kind of doesn't matter.
Right,
It's more
right.
dispensary stuff.
Right. What's your favorite snack when you're high?
Man, I don't really get high anymore.
Yeah.
Like when I smoke, when I smoke with people who haven't smoked before, or I love it because it like makes me feel high. But I use cannabis as medicine, so it's like it's rare for me just to. I can smoke a joint, and I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
So I don't really get the munchies or anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, my first experience was Lucky Charms. It was the greatest experience of my life.
Mine was honeycomb.
Oh my god! That first time I remember smoking and then eating Lucky Charms and just going, "This is magical."
I had a really similar experience. I was at my parents' house.
I was at my parents' house too.
Nice. I snuck out of my window because I was on the first floor.
We were in the basement too.
Go out, and then I just sat, like, I took a turkey thermometer and, like,
Wait, what?
so turkey thermometers, you know, you might use a pen
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
like, carve a hole in that
Oh,
hole.
oh, yeah, yeah.
I used a turkey thermometer because it's the
Gotcha.
perfect diameter
Yeah.
where you can just, like, perfectly punch 2 holes or 3 if you want to carb. And I packed a little bowl, I smoked it, and I went inside and I was eating honeycomb at like midnight, and I was just so high.
It's
but
so
I was
good.
like, this is great being at home.
It's so good. I
So
know.
great being at home.
I
and that
love
unlimited cereal.
It's one of my most vivid experiences is thinking back to my friend and I smoking that first time. We were so happy and just like it just was a great experience. you know?
It
I'll
was
never
almost,
forget it.
It's almost more fun when it wasn't like accepted and you had to go high to do it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It like makes you higher. It makes you
oh, for sure.
more
Yeah.
of a euphoric memory about it.
Oh yeah, there's those. Yeah, it's like part of it is like not being fully legal is kind of fun.
Right,
Right.
right.
Like it makes you. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a little-
hilarious.
Anyway.
What's your favorite activity, I guess, when you're high or when you did?
I
get
love
high?
to work out. Like that was one of the things for me was like when I really started growing myself was like there's a strain that when you say your favorite strains, there's one from these guys up in I think Boulder or Netherlands, and it's called Sumo Grande,
Mhm.
and that is the workout strain. Like I would smoke that and I'd just be like, I got to go run stairs,
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Whatever I was into, I got to go
Right.
mountain bike.
Yeah.
So
What's your relationship like now with fitness and cannabis usage?
I mean, I use cannabis for most things. I'll put it that way.
Right.
So
Do you
I don't
typically
know.
consume by smoking, or you do it through edibles, or we kind of talked about it
Yeah,
yesterday.
I'm in this transition because of my kids. I used to just smoke a lot of joints. I mean, if people who know me and have known me for a while know how many I smoke a lot of joints because it's the perfect medicine. I've even had this conversation with my conservative dad. Like,
Yeah.
remember 2 years ago being like, because I have plenty of product. I press, I make edibles, I make oils, I make tinctures. I got it all. I've tried it all. I've been like, the J is just perfect. I can smoke joints all day long and just feel perfect. People
Yeah.
would be like, how can you do that? It just works for me.
Yeah.
So I've been transitioning out of joints more into edibles. So as a matter of fact, like this is my coffee. I'll put a little bit of canna butter in it.
Uh-huh.
So
Do you like the flavor of that better too, or is it
honestly,
whatever?
I'd much rather be smoking a joint right now.
Yeah.
But I have
Yeah.
2 little kids, and I'm trying to be healthier, and so I'm trying to consume more
Yeah.
in healthier ways.
What's going to be the way when your kids get a little bit older? Like, what's going to be your stance on conversations about cannabis? I'm sure you maybe would be more open to it, but like,
Yeah, no,
What do you foresee?
I look forward to having the conversation. I honestly hope I hope they don't need anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, the way my mind works and as much energy as I have, I've needed something since I was a little kid. I've been prescribed Ritalin and every pill, you know what I mean? I was the kid who was standing at my desk because I had too much energy.
yeah, I can totally see you like that.
It's, yeah, like, trying not to cause trouble, but I'm back there, like, all crazy. Because
Yeah.
like, now, like, I don't even want to look at this video because I'm probably, like, squirming, right? But I look forward to talking to my kids about it. I think the cannabis plant's amazing, and I look forward to telling them everything about it, down to the trichomes,
Yeah.
so that they can make their own decision. My guess is they won't want to smoke cannabis because their old man does.
Right.
Most of my friends who have younger, like high school kids, they all think cannabis is lame now because all of us old dudes
it's becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, like so. Unfortunately, they like much cooler shit. So I just having this conversation with a friend of mine that lives 20 miles south of here, and he's got a 15-year-old. He's like, he thinks it's so dorky to smoke cannabis because you all do it.
Right.
So anyway,
that's interesting.
So my kids are gonna grow up. My kids are this big, and they're gonna see the plant. They're gonna know about it. Like they're gonna know that it'll
be a different world for them.
Yeah,
especially compared to your upbringing, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know anything about it. Even the night we smoked it with, Innate Lucky Charms at 15 years old, so long ago. It's like I didn't know anything about it other than it was just weed.
Right.
Right. Like it was scary.
Right.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Right. Like anyway. So.
Is there anything else that you would want to share or pieces of advice for, I don't know, anyone that's like growing? Any home growing advice?
I mean, I think for me, anyone who's considering growing, if they genuinely need medicine to have a better life and cannabis is an option or it's worked for them, once you grow and you understand how to grow for your needs for yourself, it gets better. And I only say that because, like, I know a lot of people who drink a lot, and I know that if they sort of took the plunge and didn't just go buy whatever Snoop Dogg strain is at the dispensary and go home and smoke it, and the trichomes were harvested too early, so they're getting all like, if they really grew it for themselves, they'd probably live a healthier life. So I genuinely believe people that get into cannabis can live better lives, especially people who choose other alternatives like I did. Yeah. I split it, alcohol, and so that's the one thing I say. I've seen people that start growing, it just kind of changes their lives from the medical side too, because there's such a huge difference in how you grow it, when you harvest it, how you dry it, how you cure it, how you partake it.
Yeah. Do you on your website have advice and stuff for people, for like a resource for how to home grow at all?
I don't. It's something I'm working on, and almost everything I do in life is self-taught. So I'm the guy who I don't read the books. I don't do anything. I literally sit at my plants and I cut them and I see what they do. Yeah. I take notes. So like, I've been working on sort of a beginner system for the last 3 years that just makes it a little more simple, but it has nothing to do with there's nothing more to it really than it just is a passion. Like, I think there's an easier way to do it for people starting.
Yeah, like you said, it's a weed, right? People are overcomplicating it.
Like, your first time, just try to do it the easy way, not the hard way. I see so many people starting, and then they see this product, and they see me put this in, and they see, the gnome put this in, and they see, and they're all of a sudden they're putting all this in their plants, thinking that it's going to do whatever it did for that person, and now their plant's going, what the hell are you doing to me?
Yeah.
You don't go eat pizza, ice cream, ramen, and an orange juice all at the same time. That's the shit people are doing to their plants, though.
Right. Right, you got to give them consistency a little bit, right?
Yeah. I look at my plant soil like my food. Mm-hmm. Even like when I exercise, I need more. When they're growing fast, I need more.
Right, you need good nutrition.
Simple good nutrition.
Yeah, yes. Keep it simple, Simon.
Keep it simple, man.
Yeah, well, thank you for being on the podcast, man.
Yeah,
I really
cool.
appreciate it, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully people got some good value out of it. I know I did, so cool. I'm excited to try one of your bags, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But where can people find you and your stuff if you want to give a little plug?
The company is Honor the Plant. Mm-hmm. I almost said the Instagram. It's just www.honortheplant.com. Instagram is Honor Cannabis, and I am Kevin_craft_honor on Instagram.
Nice.
People can find me if they
want to find me. And I'm sure there'll be something on my story eventually, especially if I'm growing with your bags. I'm going to be posting that.
Of course you're going to grow with my bags.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Yo, cannabis lovers, thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Bongcast, and I hope you enjoyed getting to know Kevin Kraft and Honor Cannabis. I know I enjoyed getting to know him and spending some time with him. He's a really cool dude. And really enjoyed being in Denver because that was like towards the end of this giant 110-day road trip that my girlfriend and I went on. So we capitalized on trying to, involve ourselves in more cannabis markets around the country. So this is how we got to connect with Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, for having me in your space and sharing your story with me and being so awesome and down to earth and such a gracious host. And particularly, thanks for the weed. Be sure to follow Kevin on his cannabis journey and show Honor Cannabis some love, especially if you're a home grower or interested in home growing. You can follow along the Honor Cannabis journey at Honor Cannabis. That's at HONORCANNABIS. I think I spelled that correctly. And thanks for listening or watching or whatever it is you did to this podcast, but I'm glad you did it. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next Cottonmouth podcast. I've run out of languages that I know how to say goodbye in. So, ciao.
Yeah. Baby girl, you're so damn fine, though. Wanna know if I can hit it from behind, though. I'm sipping on you like some fine wine, though. When it's over, I press rewind, though.
Is this thing on? You like my haircut? Funny little short story about my haircut. I guess if you're listening, you can't see it anyway, so never mind. See you next Friday. These episodes are supposed to come out every Friday by 4:20, so don't forget to follow the Bongcast on Instagram too, at the Bongcast. Probably written on your phone as you're listening to this. Hot damn hot water, hot shower. Hot Lana smoking green cauliflower. Hot. Tangerine, yeah, call her sweet and sour, and my lawyer say it's urgent, I'ma call him in an hour. Dude, I just called the plug and his phone was unplugged. I was looking at Doug like, ooh, dude. That shit don't even make no fucking sense, like having fucking arguments for paying 50 extra cents for barbecue. Saucing on them workers at McDonald's, I don't wanna sit and argue. Good burger should've taught you we your dues. And I'm more professional and probable. My baby mama stopped me in a meeting just to airdrop me some nudes. Hot damn, hot water, hot shower. The fact that you gave us weed was awesome.
Cottonmouth Media.